All right, what's up, ladies and gents? We are back with Jarvan. That's right, Jarvan is now joining us in Runeterra on the battlefield, and I cannot be more excited. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in to these new cards. All right, so first up, I absolutely love the simplicity of this card. It screams Demacia and actually does a lot for the region. They want to play to the board, Demacia, and if you do miss a 1-drop or just decide to not play any, whatever deck you're playing, suddenly using this on something like a Battlesmith to put it out of range of some of the early removal like Mystic Shot feels really good. Next up is Gallant Rider. This is one of the cards we're seeing that gets an additional effect if it's able to challenge something. So it doesn't actually come with Challenger inherently, but if it does somehow get granted or given Challenger, remember there's a difference between give and grant, then it will get an additional effect. The idea of this deck archetype is definitely intriguing. Getting +1/+1 and tough on top of whatever challenge card you're playing to proc it, so whatever effect that might have in addition to just giving a challenge, feels really good for the rider. So definitely think this could be one of the better cards for this archetype. All right, and we have one of Jarvan's namesake cards. So again, spoiler alert for later, we will be going over Jarvan. Gonna save the best for last as always. This gives the barrier deck, you know, we all know Fiora Shen, we all know and love that deck. It's been around since basically the beginning of time at this point. This is a new type of rally for that deck that also lends a barrier to a unit. Honestly, considering that Relentless Pursuit is 3 mana, an additional 1 mana for a barrier does feel considerably better. Now, Prismatic Barrier costs 3 mana and is a burst speed spell, which is a little bit different. I do think not being able to use only spell mana on this, with it being 4 and not 3, is a pretty big downside versus Relentless, but I think this will be the new rally card of choice. I don't think you can beat just 1 additional mana for a barrier. All right, and another card for the Challenger strategy. So this is clearly an archetype. I'm not sure I love this one, to be honest with you. It's a 2-drop for the archetype. All these, all sorts of new archetypes need 2-drops. It's kind of just helps with the consistency of the archetype and the deck. So if an all-in version of this deck does end up being good, I mean, this might just be played just because that archetype is good and it needs a 2-drop. Just needs something to fill that hole. That might just be the last card of choice for that deck. But otherwise, I'm not really loving this card. All right, and 2-drops. Over to 1-drops. Yet another, card for this archetype for Challenger. But this one could be used in a lot of different ways as well. To complete the Challenger strategy, we have a card that has the ability to also be a standalone card. So even though it does go in the Challenger deck, it could lend itself to elites or just, decks that splash elites, right? It's another 1 mana 2/2, which we have plenty of already in the game. But again, it does support the elite strategy. I don't think elite challengers are going to be an amazing archetype. Like, I don't know if you really want to smush those two together all in one deck. So I don't think it's going to be amazing by any means, but I do like the card in general. Maybe the fact that it gets you an additional card in hand is a thing. I know Demacia doesn't really have a lot with like discarding cards from hand or anything, so I don't know if that's going to be crazy, but I do like that this could potentially allow for the splashing of elites in the future. And now we have Jarvan himself and all of his supporting cards. But before Jarvan, as always, I know I'm always with the baits. We have his father. I actually didn't know we had a father. I mean, I guess everybody has a father, right? But didn't know that it was King Jarvan III, which I guess that makes sense if he's Jarvan IV. Don't listen to me. But apparently, King Jarvan III is going to be in Legends of Runeterra. Jarvan's got a boat, baby. Kinda. It's not quite Leviathan or Dreadway in the sense of a boat, but his father does pack a punch when hitting the board nonetheless. If Jarvan is already in play, our board becomes all Genevieves, which is, I think we all know how freaking awesome challengers with scouts all can be, especially when you have an entire board full of them. Not only can this find Jarvan, but it's looking like it is a potential finisher for Challenger and possibly even other deck archetypes. I mean, that is a one-turn swing for game if your entire board, especially if it's beefier units. Like, imagine Cythria now with Scout and Challenger. What? Cythria the Bold? What? All right, now, Jarvan. Here we go. So, my first thought, reading his effect, is that he's essentially a burst speed champion. Yes, you heard that right. He's a burst speed champion. Whatever that means. If you've played League of Legends, EQ in League, anybody? EQ? EQ. I don't mean emotional quotient. I mean his E followed by his Q ability, which otherwise known as flag and drag, right? E, you plant the flag. Q drags you to the flag in the game. It's exactly what this is doing. My question, though, is that it says, and I haven't confirmed this yet, it says that you have to play his cost, or it says if you pay his cost when attacking, then he summons and he challenges a unit, right? I'm not sure if that's required or if you have the option, like if you have the mana to spend, it's required, or if you have the mana to spend, it's your choice. Like, you can opt to not play the mana. Like, it would just be like another burst speed spell, right? Like, you submit the attack, it's still your turn before you click OK. You can also play him as a burst speed spell, right? If you can choose, I think Jarvan's substantially better. I think he could see more competitive play. Looking further into his kit, his level up, though, might be a little bit difficult. I do think that his level up requirement might restrict the way you build your deck a little bit in needing units with higher health to survive attacks, right? Once he is leveled up, though, Jarvan not only gets barrier every single time he challenges enemy, but he gets a Cataclysm. Yes, that's right. Cataclysm, his ult, his R from League of Legends, in hand every round start. Generally, that barrier effect, you're not really going to be able to easily get it on him every time he challenges a unit because, again, he does not actually have Challenger built into his kit. You need an additional, card to actually add that. But Cataclysm is exactly what Cataclysm does. It puts him in battle with an enemy. He challenges the enemy. That means he's going to get barrier when he goes ahead and uses Cataclysm as well. Unfortunately, I'm not sure this is enough. I don't know. I don't know if this is enough to see a ton of play. If he is an optional burst speed spell, I definitely think that helps his case. But after initial release, I don't know if all the support we've seen thus far is really going to be enough to support his kit. He feels a little bit clunky. He feels like you need to really dedicate far too much of your entire deck to build around him in order to actually get usefulness out of him. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I mean, maybe some other cards are released that allow for a little bit more flexibility with Jarvan further down the line. All right, and that's it. We have ourselves a new Demacian champion in Jarvan. Super excited to have yet another Demacian champion. Adds yet another playstyle to Demacia. I'm loving the whole scout and challenger aspects behind the region, finding new and creative ways to still do challenger and scout over and over and over again, even though they are the same keywords that they've been this whole time. So either way, I think that this set is going to be absolutely amazing. Cannot wait for the release date on March 3rd. Yes, we're only like 2 weeks away now, so super excited to get started into the next season when that does come out. But as always, everybody, we're going to have another video tomorrow. Stay healthy, stay positive. I hope shit just works for you, and peace out.